welcome to Afterthoughts, the podcast where we watch something and give you our thoughts after that. I will be your host tonight, Ryan King, but we'll just go ahead and I say get into it. Joining me is John Garcia.
Balls. I just wanted to say that at the top. I
coming out strong.
Yeah, coming out real strong. I got nothing else. Balls. I'm not John. I'm Dixon. No. Ryan, I'm excited to try to figure out what thoughts we all gathered after this whirlwind of a movie.
Yeah. Yes. I don't. We'll get into it, I guess. But also we have Michael Dixon.
Ryan, you.
Yeah,
We're talking about a British movie, so we can say that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's okay.
If we were talking about an American movie, it would not be okay. But we're talking about a British movie, so it's fine.
Yeah, in Australia, it beats Friend.
Yeah.
Yes, we are talking about a British cult classic, Withnail I.
To a delightful weekend in the country.
You are cordially invited to spend a carefree weekend in the English countryside. Bask in the warm sunshine.
We've gone on holiday by mistake.
Enjoy the rustic pleasure of country living.
It's gonna be so cold in here. Like Greenland in here.
Wants to get down there and have sex with those cows.
Partake of fine varietal wine.
You're drunk.
I assure you I'm not, officer. I've only had a few ales.
Take lunch at a charming pub.
We want the finest wines available to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
Fraternize with cheery locals.
I don't care where you come from.
Hans!
Experience culinary pleasure.
So I can make it die.
There is, you will agree, certain je ne sais quoi about a firm young carrot.
Fish in the region's streams.
Don't threaten me with a dead fish.
Withnail I, a trip worth taking.
What absolute twaddle.
Just two guys.
Just two
brothers.
Just two brothers.
Oh, yeah.
I guess this is the proto, drug-fueled two guys try to do some stuff
The
movie.
stoner comedy film. This is Harold
Yeah,
and Kumar.
kind of.
Go to
Yeah.
London.
Right, where it's like they have some plan, they're going to do something and go try to do it, and then it doesn't really work out, and then they come back and they're mostly still a waste of life, and that's it, right? It was like Train Spotting, but without the over-the-top drug sequences, maybe.
Yeah.
And not as sad, maybe, but pretty much the plot is these two guys are actors or supposed actors, not really getting roles, not really getting any jobs or any money. Their apartment is just complete shit show, pots and pans everywhere. The kitchen's absolute disaster. And I guess to get out of it, they decide to go to the country. Withnail has an uncle. They go to him and ask to use his place. They go out to the country. Shit happens. That's pretty much the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, they fuck
I'll
around
say,
and they find out. Yeah.
Yeah, they fuck around and maybe. I enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. I think it's going to be a little tough to talk about it because it is just a sequence of events. This is going to be one of those maybe we're and then this happened and wasn't it funny?
I don't think Dixon's going to say that at all.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I could read your mind. I saw you.
Yeah. There's definitely a few funny sequences. I feel like there were things that definitely made me laugh, but it did kind of leave me with a little bit of okay, I think this formula got fixed some going forward. But it definitely has some of the hallmarks of things that sometimes we've watched in the past where I've kind of been all right, I'm just not quite fully gelling with it or gelling with the characters. But yeah, so John, what's your take?
Well, I was actually curious if before I give my what compelled you to pick this one, Ryan? Did you have a specific? Were you I just heard about it or?
I had heard about it a few times, and then it popped back up where the name popped up again, and I was just yeah, I've heard this. I've heard it's a cult favorite. Some people's favorite movies. A lot of directors talk about how awesome it is or inspired them. So I like read the description. I was like, all right, that sounds all right. Like that could be funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty much that. Like, all right, let's check it out. Older movie. I've heard of it. Most people probably haven't heard of it. So it was one of those, maybe this will be a secretly awesome thing. Like super secret awesome movie.
When you had said we're gonna watch Withnail I thought you were just fucking with me. I didn't think that was the name. I was like, there's no way a character's name is Withnail. Like, what is that? I've never heard of that before. So, and then I read the synopsis, and of course, the one thing that I hate is when I read the synopsis and the like IMDb page or something says like it's a comedy. I'm like, oh. Is it a comedy, though? Is it IMDb? Do you know that for a fact?
People use that term very broadly to encompass all kinds of movies.
Yes. And this is one of those where I might go back for a second watch because I am genuinely curious if I will enjoy it more. I did laugh while I was watching it. It's one of those things where, like, the characters say things at certain... Also, I want to say upright, I think that this is really well written. I enjoyed a lot of the dialogue, even if I didn't necessarily enjoy the characters themselves. It felt very despicable in a way that, like, I was getting flashbacks to when we watched Stranger Than Paradise, and I was telling Dixon about that. I was like, hey, this feels kind of like Stranger Than Paradise. This has that same kind of like bum around and just fucking do nothing hangout film. But like halfway through, I started to get the feeling that this was like autobiographical or biographical in some way. Like I was just like, there's too much here that's specific, like idiosyncratic, and the way the characters act, that it feels too real. Like I did no other research going into it other than reading the synopsis. And then, it is an autobiographical film, as it turns out. It's got like a lot of basis in the life of Bruce Robinson. There's just a lot here that like breathes through. I wouldn't say that it like knocked me on my ass, but I was like, oh my God, I have to know what happens next or anything. Cause at any one point in time, I'm like, just how are they going to keep fucking around? Like, where are they going to keep fucking around and doing stuff? I enjoyed the lulls in between them bickering, because there's kind of like a respite you get from the exhaustion of who Withnail is. And that's kind of what I came to this conclusion of, is like, I think it's a good movie to get a different perspective of a whole other world I didn't know exists. It reminds me of Trainspotting. Of England, yes. England is a whole other world I've never known. I do appreciate that it has no reverence for England. It has no reverence for London. That there is very much like
we're not from London.
Yeah, let's fuck all of that. Like, just get all of that veneer and everything off of here. This is a really gritty, gross, and disgusting story. These two like ne'er-do-wells that want to be actors that have genuine talent, like from what Withnail's like whole kind of journey is. I can see parts of his like thespian, what he could be and his potential, but everything around him just rotting him to the core. So I really did enjoy those aspects of it. It made me think a lot while I was watching, and it wasn't like thinking for boredom. There was like an aversion to the characters I had a real reaction and an experience with it. I also got really uncomfortable at that one scene where the Dursley from Harry Potter goes into like sexual assault mode. And that was its own thing that like, as somebody who is a sexual assault survivor, I had a fucking flashback while I was watching that and was like, this is awful. I hate this. So it captured that well, but I also felt like it, also the homophobia in it. I was like, this also is not justified. I don't like this. So just a lot about it that I reacted to. I'm still, by the end of this, I'll know whether I'll recommend or refute it, I think, at this point. But right now I'm like, still like, I don't know how I feel until we talk through it. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah, I definitely also got the Stranger Than Paradise vibes. It felt like this, I will say, had something to say, where I'm not sure that Stranger Than Paradise had anything to say, which is what made it tough to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dixon.
Yeah, I didn't like this movie. I think it has some good things going for it. Richard E. Grant is great.
Yep.
Like, he's the best part of the movie. He's giving a very over-the-top performance in a role that demands an over-the-top performance, playing an out-of-work thespian who is convinced that he's a better actor than all the other people who are getting jobs while he isn't. And I think there's a lot of interesting things in that character that could be explored that are not explored in the movie. Like, it seems like it's setting up, and the title Withnail I makes it sound like it's going to be kind of centered around, I's character. He's not given a name in the film, but the character played by Paul McGann, I would think that we would get a little bit more of his perspective. There's weird bits of narration like a couple times in the movie, but there's not really a lot of consistency to it, and the movie doesn't really feel like it's taking any one character's perspective, even though it seems like the title makes it sound like you should be looking at the movie from I's perspective, but it doesn't really do that. And Withnail is just this kind of crazy character, but you don't really get to learn much about what's driving him and about what's making him crazy. The start of the movie is kind of wacky, where they're like high off their asses and they're freaked out by their dirty apartment. They've got to escape, and then they escape out into the country, but then there's nothing binding these characters together. Maybe I'm just reading too much into the title, but I was expecting this to be a character piece about these two guys, and I feel like I know almost nothing about either of them at the end of the movie. There's no connection established between the two. There's no chemistry there. They don't seem to like each other. They just are kind of around each other because they're roommates and they're both out of work actors, and they don't really know what to do with themselves. But there's not really any reason that they're together that's binding them together. And then Withnail is just a horrible person the entire movie. He's whoring out his friend so they could stay at this cabin, and all these things. And then at the end of the movie, you're supposed to actually care about them separating and going their separate ways and feel bad for Withnail. And I just had no empathy for either of them at all. I don't think the movie really earns that moment at the end. So I don't know. I mean, there were some amusing moments throughout, but a lot of it I was just I don't know, two city boys don't know how to do stuff in the country. I don't know, that gets old pretty fast, I think. And then the whole sequence where Monty shows up at the cabin and, he's just trying not to get, fucked in the ass. I'm just okay, this is all very disturbing and upsetting. And we've gone from comedy to horror almost. And this is just very, very odd. I don't know. It felt tonally dissonant, and I never really kind of felt like I could hold on to what the movie was trying to do or say or be. And I wanted it to be more of a character piece, but it felt very apart from its characters and kind of looking at them from a third person perspective rather than analyzing that relationship. But yeah, I don't know. I just ended the movie feeling very dissatisfied with the story as a whole.
Yeah, it almost felt to me more using the characters and this, because it's set, even though this is a 1987 movie, it's set in 1969,
right?
Which also makes me think of Animal House, where you purposely set a date that's a turning point, right? To the sense we're not necessarily talking about this stuff, we're talking about this being on the precipice of a changing of times, and that it's more just following these two people who totally shouldn't be together. Maybe even, at least in the case of I, at the beginning, is I need to do something about Withnail. I need to get out of this. And then by the end of it, he happens to get out of it. It isn't by any of it. It isn't that he does anything through the course of the movie that gets him out of it. He just gets a role, an actual role, right? And so he's no, I can just go and get my own place and do my own thing now.
Yeah.
I almost would think it would make a little more sense if he didn't get an acting job at the end. He just got a regular ass job and walked away.
Yeah.
Because it would be that into the 60s and then just becoming a yuppie, right? And just buying in and not going to do drugs. I'm going to cut my hair. I'm going to get a real job and I'm going to move on. It sort of says that, I guess, at the end in a way. It's just that he, I guess because he's an actor, he gets an acting job, but he does cut his hair and move on. And I do feel like that last scene with the giant, what was it, the carrot or whatever that they smoke, and the conversation with that guy is just completely insane. He's can't cut your hair. That's how the government controls you or whatever, like random shit like that.
That's why bald men are so uptight, because
that's right.
they're
Yeah,
not like
yes.
connected to the cosmos or something through
Yeah.
their hair follicles.
Yeah, they've lost it. Their Samson hair.
I love
like,
Danny.
powers
Danny's a
are
great
gone.
character. I enjoyed that guy. Anytime he
Yeah.
was on screen, he was really fun.
He was the most enjoyable
Yeah.
character by far.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it had a bit of a philosophy there. It had something it was kind of like giving us, but it wasn't necessarily the characters, right? It was more of just like going through this to kind of show the change,
Yeah.
and just kind of using these characters.
Yeah, I thought about so many other hangout movies while watching this, because you mentioned Train Spotting, Ryan. We talked about Stranger Than Paradise. I definitely thought about A Scanner Darkly, because you just have
so
like,
much.
so many. Yeah, there's just so much paranoia and like weird. The whole argument where they're in the kitchen trying to figure out if there's a rat that might be alive in their sink, like getting gloves on and putting it on. Like I was so disoriented at the beginning of the movie. I had no idea what the fuck was going to happen with it. So I was like, I thought this was like a different kind of comedy. I was stupid. IMDb prepared me for something that I clearly don't know what I'm dealing with. But every part after that is, yeah, they just carry this misery through like every sequence and every scene and every setting. And I can see how Dixon, it would become like annoying because there's sort of a monotony to the way that they do it, where they ultimately make so many beautiful landscapes just so ugly and gross by just being there. They're like, just fuck this whole place. This like farm side, these people, like they all suck and they exploit like everybody that they can. I feel like it's another thing that I've talked about recently was like, I watched Naked Lunch and this felt like a William S. Burroughs joint kind of thing. It has less surrealism to it, but it's just like this whole genre of like drugged up people hanging out. I feel like it only goes so many ways. And so I can definitely understand why it was like, there should have been more to the story or something. But I think it's like all the drugs and the substance itself that prevents anything from ever happening in these stories. It's like everybody just gets whacked out and fucking forgets where they are. And yeah, it's really confusing.
Yeah. Fear and Loathing. Like I got some vibes like
Yeah.
of that as well, right? The Scanner Darkly thing hit me like almost immediately, and there were so many scenes that were like those conversations between, you're just sitting there listening to them talk about something and knowing like they're just absolutely stupid.
Yeah, they're like
paranoid, like completely screwing it up.
have developed their own lexicon and understanding, and they're like down the rabbit hole way farther than you'll ever be, and so you just don't know what the fuck's happening.
Right.
I also wonder if like this is a cultural contextual thing too, because I've seen, having seen like Train Spotting and seeing this, Train Spotting has a lot more of the focus on like the drugs and what the drugs do to you, and this feels like it. When Stranger Than Paradise came out, that was the whole thing, was like Jim Jarmusch was doing counterculture stuff. And it was all about the way that Stranger Than Paradise was different in how it constructed its lack of narrative with its characters and what they did. This one felt like that same thing, where there's like either a joke or a cultural touchstone or touch point that I'm just not a part of, that I just didn't understand. And I felt it when I watched it. I was like, I feel like right now somebody's talking to me and I just don't understand them. It's a foreign language in a weird way.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I think some of that is like literally the like lexicon they're using. It's like like very British. This movie is very, very British, and like some of it, it's like I just don't understand what they're talking about or what those words mean because of that.
Toilet bandit or what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like the paranoia is interesting in parts, but I think it gets a little bit repetitive in other parts. And there are scenes that are like a lot of fun and scenes that are just hard to get through, like where they go to that, they like happen to stumble into that restaurant when Monty takes them to buy like Wellington boots, and instead they just go into this restaurant and just start like yelling at people and demanding to be served, and like we're millionaires, we're gonna buy this place and fire all of you if you don't get us the best wine that humanity can buy right now, best wine that's available to humanity. Like there's the characters can be fun and bombastic and entertaining in parts, but then they just like sink into this depression and these, I don't know, the movie's just kind of all over the place tonally.
Yeah, and I know like the I character, Paul McGann's character has this. It's kind of a vessel for the audience to experience Withnail, and that's. I know that like Bruce Robinson wanted to make kind of this autobiographical pick to explain like what his life was like when he was trying to make it as an actor and give you a semblance of that. Cause it's like, he's like, yeah, we're just like mostly just waiting for calls to come in. And like, there's not much to do. You just dick around, do drugs and whatever else. But you feel less connection to the I character and more like, just like you're hostage yourself. So it's like this weird, like, I know that I should connect and want him to get out of it, but he also does terrible things. I think the fact that he had so many homophobic things to say really pushed me away from him as a character too. So I was just like, well, I don't feel like he's really that innocent. He just seems to be making like a lot of prejudiced decisions at this point. And of course, later it becomes clear that like Monty had other ideas and there's something else going on. And so it confused me even further in how I should feel about what's going on. Cause I'm like, okay, well, wait, he was justified like this whole time in his prejudice. Like okay. Not really resonating with me. There are a lot of sequences that I felt like were, if I watch it again and again, I could see the quotes or the lines being really good to like enjoy, to savor the writing. I like the kind of every character feels really well fleshed out, even if you don't get to know them. They have their own way of delivering. They have their own kind of like, you can see them thinking in different ways. And Withnail, especially when they're at the bar with that guy who calls I a ponce and decides that he's going to pick a fight with him for having perfumed boots. That whole sequence where Withnail is like, I have a heart condition, and if you punch me, you'll be committing a crime. You'll murder a man. And then he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to punch you. And he's just like, I'm about to have a child. Like, I'm about to be a father. Like, the pivoting of his character, he's just like completely crumbles out of that bombastic, like, I should be the best actor ever, into like really sniveling, cowardly action. And you can see for a second.
I think that's also him trying to be an actor in the moment, like
so
he's always bluffing people and like acting like he's someone who he's not. And it's like that scene, I think, is a combination of his cowardice and him being like, well, I can act my way out of this because that is the answer to everything in life. And like later we see, it's kind of stripped away when the poacher comes to try to kill him. Or it's not even coming to kill him. He's coming to give him a fucking hair. That's like all that it's really about. Is they meet that guy at a bar and he's like got eels down his pants and fucking has like a bird in his hump of the back of his thing. Like just a wild, like this is really a countryside man. You can definitely tell this guy just doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. And they try to get one of those eels from him and he's like, I'll bring you a hair. And there's just a moment where like Withnail doesn't know, since he's already out of his element, he doesn't really know if like acting will work on these people to some degree. And so then it becomes this thing where he sleeps with like a 12 gauge shotgun. And that's just what he's going to do is like, now I'm going to sleep with my friend and we're going to pretend like we're going to just wait for the guy to come and we'll blast him when he gets here. And like those scenes were when I felt the most that like, okay, I get the comedy aspect of it. And I get, it's that Scanner Darkly same kind of vibe where they're tweaked out and like, they really don't know what to do and they're super out of their element. And that part was like, I enjoyed. I had really good time and it was funny right before Uncle Monty showed up. And then it became like, that like, 35% of the movie there is a bit rough. I do think that the comedy and the tragedy are almost hard to separate in this movie. And on the one hand, it's like, impressive, but on the other hand, I think it's kind of a bit lacking in skill to kind of have it all melded together. But like Withnail's fears, he's pushing on to I constantly throughout the movie, and he's like forcing him to deal with them, right? Like where he's terrified of the poacher and he's like jumping into bed with I, like, I can't sleep alone, I'm terrified, like I need to be here with this gun. And he's like, well, you can sleep in the bed but you can't bring the gun. He's like, no, I have to have both. And it's like he's enforcing all of his fears and all of what he's insisting upon his friend. And then when I is afraid of something, he just completely dismisses it, right? And it's like, oh, this is not a big deal. It's like this guy is making moves on me. Like I'm worried he's gonna pull some shit. And he's like, oh no, yeah, you're crazy. Like don't worry about it. Or he's like, yeah, well, whatever. What did you expect? Like I had to get him to let us stay at his cabin somehow. Yeah. And so there's just again, like he's just so horrible as a human being that it's just like, it's not that I is like a good person, but it's just like, you know, it's hard to have sympathy for anything that Withnail is going through because of that.
I mean, Withnail already is like, he's driving drunk. He like misappropriates funds whenever he's given them.
He's got like a very early version of the Whizzinator.
Yeah.
I don't know if you folks out there remember the Whizzinator. This was a tool used by the Minnesota Vikings in like the mid 2000s to pass urine tests. Yeah, he's got a can of child pee in a tube and just ready to go whenever the cops pull him over.
Withnail and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's one of those like stoner moments where then it does not work at all. Like the cops are immediately onto it, right?
Oh my God, that was like the best line delivery too. The cops that pull him over and the one cop that like snaps. And he's like, get that back on the wagon. He yells it so fast. that made me laugh pretty hard.
I laughed at that too. Yeah,
Oh
it was
my
like
God.
just very childish and out of nowhere.
Yeah. That's the interesting part is like when I watched interviews with Bruce Robinson talking about the comedy aspect of it, he was like, I wouldn't let anybody laugh on set because if you laugh on set, it's probably not actually funny. It's just funny to you in the moment. I was like, this is like some weird method of madness that like, I get what you're saying. Cause like Paul Feig, director of the Ghostbusters 2016 film, had them laughing on set all the time, and I didn't laugh once.
And
in that
other
movie.
terrible Melissa McCarthy movies.
And like I didn't laugh at all during that movie. I didn't have a good time during it, and I can see like what he means when he says like if you're all laughing and having a good time, you're not like focusing on what you're trying to do, on what you think the comedy is. And his whole philosophy being like, if we could just replicate the tragedy of the situation that I was in, I think it's kind of funny. Is a weird thing to say, but I kind of get it. Like that's where the dark humor is now you're like looking back on your life and kind of able to put it into a perspective and make certain comical sort of surgical precision insertions here, and here. Like when they dig for the rats in the sink and they put the glove on and he pulls up like, it's just like some old like egg or spaghetti or something. He's like, it's matter. Like, matter. Like they all get mad at it. Like, oh my God, what is that? Like that's a good funny moment in what is like kind of this ocean of like bleakness of what their life has become and what they're currently living under. So yeah, it is a tightrope act. But I do feel like it's been muddled by time. It's been muddled and marred by time. Because like when it came out, they probably landed a little bit better. Like there's more homophobia back then, like plenty more paranoia about these things. And like a lot of people were closer to the 60s and understood what was going on. And maybe that was like the lightning rod that made it what it is, even though it wasn't like a success, it became a cult film. But now I see people, like I was looking at some reviews offhand before this, and everybody was like, this is an amazing movie. I watched this movie and I loved it from like the first watch. And I was like, I don't know what you loved about it from the first watch. I'm not entirely sure I understand what your life path was that led you to that.
Yeah.
But, for me, I'm like, I could probably watch it again, and Ryan, you and I could probably quote it back and forth, and that would be like the way that it would become fun, and that's what a cult film becomes. But I don't know if I want to or not. So
yeah, I wonder, because I've definitely had those, like, I think the first time I watched Big Lebowski, I was like, yeah, about it. Like, okay, it was kind of funny, but then like rewatching it like suddenly really grew on me a lot more, and I saw more of like kind of what it was, you know, what it was going for, what its vibe was, and that's possible with this. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
I think what's mixed for me is some of the other things that we listed, like, you know, Skinner Darkly's got a whole other plot going for it beyond the just like drug-addled people talking to each other, but it's using that, like, those paranoia and conversations and like misunderstanding of the world is part of like what that story is trying to say, right? And then it's like mixed with the, you know, the police and the paranoia and who am I? I'm the cop, but I'm also trying to like catch myself maybe, and like, right, there's so many more like crazy depths to it. Train Spotting has this like much more over the top like drug sequences, like crazy, and it definitely has like its really down moments of like how horrible this stuff can become, to the people that are using it. Or you just have something like, I don't know, super bad, where it's just more of like, we're just all really having a good time, right? Laughing, and it's just ridiculous the situations they get into. Or honestly, like Big Lebowski, right? It's also kind of like the stupid situations that they end up in.
Yeah.
This just kind of never quite did that. I like, as you described it, I can totally see someone wrote a script that was like, here was my life, and, kind of here's some things that happened to me, but it's not a particularly interesting story of their life. Maybe there are moments in there, like I can think, and I'm like, I had, shitty roommates over time in apartments that were trash, and we were just trying to like get by and figure it out with our shitty jobs. And one time at a party, a drunk guy pissed in our kitty litter, and we were like, what the fuck? And I had to kick him out. And it's funny. That could be a funny scene, but it like isn't part of a movie of telling anything interesting about my life. Like that isn't the interesting things that have really happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think the movies you mentioned, like Superbad and some of these other like comedies, the reason people kind of hold on to those and remember them as kind of favorite movies is because you do identify with those characters and what they're going through. It's like Superbad. It's like about two virgin high school seniors that are just fucking trying to get laid and doing everything they can. And that's a relatable experience. And you see them like attempting to achieve that throughout the movie, and you identify with their struggle. It's like with this, it's like, I just don't really know anything about these characters and what they care about and what they're trying to achieve in life. Like, with Withnail, that he thinks he's a good actor and no one else is, so he hates the world, but like you don't see him actually trying to like go out and get parts other than just trying to get his agent on the phone. Paul McGann's character, I feel like he's just a literal blank slate. Like, nothing about him at all. And like,
right.
It's like they're trying to take a vacation from their boredom, like they're not even
from
working.
Nothing. Yeah.
Like they're vacationing from nothing. And it's just hard to really care and to like get on board with what they're doing. It's like, I can't identify with whatever it is they're trying to get out of life, because I don't think the movie really clearly articulates what that is.
Yeah, the more that I think about it, at one point Withnail says, we've gone on a holiday on accident.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's sort of like this regret of doing anything. And it ties to him earlier
or
when they talk
a refusal
about,
to take blame for anything.
Yeah, refusal to take blame for that. And then like earlier in the film, they're sitting in that park, and that's when I comes up with the idea, like, maybe we should go on holiday, maybe we should go somewhere. And Withnail's like, he says we should get rejuvenated. We should go out to the countryside and rejuvenate. And he's like, rejuvenated? Like, I'm in a fucking park right now. Like, how am I not? I'm already outside and I feel dead.
Yeah.
And there's just sort of that tone that like nothing can help them. I don't even think that the point of it is to see them through to rejuvenation, or like, what is this going to be? It is watching. That's where I think that there's a cultural removal, like where maybe we don't get it because we just don't live there or something. Maybe there's like some connection that I'm just missing of people that piss around in London and like know that it sucks. And even going out to the countryside to escape like a city doesn't do anything to help you when you're in that circumstance. And that it's a film that could validate that perspective, that could make you feel seen, and also be like, I know characters, I know people that are as wild or crazy as Withnail is, and seeing this whole thing go through, it becomes hilarious to me. It's so relatable. I can feel all of it. Like, my memory, my neurons are firing. I'm getting all of this like relational alignment sort of stuff. But for me, I'm like, I was raised in the United States in Texas. I didn't go through that. I never had to deal with being in like a messy roommate's house with like a bunch of people that were drunk and paranoid and whatever. And so like to a certain degree, I can only go so far with like how I relate to the characters and what I find. And so when you keep alluding to like the chemistry of the characters and what you can tell about them, I feel like it's all implied and regional. I feel like it's got to be like from my perspective, there's some like regional reflection here. And from all the interviews I've seen too, where like the cast and crew talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, it was great. Like he's, Bruce is a fantastic person. He's one of the funniest guys I know. And I'm like, they think he's really funny. There must be something about across the pond. I don't know if it is the fact that the water is cleaner or dirtier. I don't know what it is, but they just,
older.
Yeah, it's older. That's right. Yeah. Aged. It's empirical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it says about me, but I definitely could identify with them. I definitely actually have been in those situations.
You rascal.
There was absolutely a time in my life where I was listless and living and hanging out with people who were also listless, and we were kind of always between menial jobs, just trying to do something. And it
That's
was
why you
really
like Clerks so much.
Yes, yeah, totally.
I knew it.
No, and we were pretty much like our money that we made from those menial jobs was just enough to get us like enough liquor and alcohol and cigarettes.
Yep. That's all you need.
And like that, yeah, that was pretty much what we needed. And there was always we're going to do this or this, and it'll, we'll get back around or whatever. And, excuses for everything that was going on. And yeah, we had like shitty trash departments, and like we did go on like trips to do shit that was always a fucking disaster because everyone was drunk and didn't know what they were doing. Right. So I'm like, I was in that moment. I don't know that I need a movie about that
to remind you about
like
that
that's
moment?
where I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I kind of can be that and be like, yeah, I was there, and then
Good times.
now I'm done with that. Yeah, I don't know that it's like, and to an extent, I'm like, there are bits of that I look back on fondly. Bits of it, I can look at the whole thing and kind of be like this, like from the movie, you can look at it the whole thing and be like, yeah, this is true. This sucks. They were in a sucky situation of their own making for the most part.
Yeah.
And you think of them in the future, they probably will think back somewhat fondly and laugh on some of these things because time kind of removes some of the tragedy in the moments.
Yeah. What are y'all's thoughts on that final sequence? Not the final sequence where they say goodbye to each other, but the final sequence where they're all together in the apartment with Danny and his friend, Presumin' Ed.
What a character name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Presumin' Ed. Is he the coal man that he speaks of? Because I was like, I don't know what this jargon. I know what
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
just talks about getting a suit for the coal man, and I was like, that's got to be Presumin' Ed, I guess. He talks about like a judge confronting him for wearing something. I don't even remember. But yeah, that whole sequence where they basically lament that like the 60s are over. Danny's lamenting that the 60s are over and that there are going to be a lot of refugees is what he says. Just that like there's just going to be people who are lost because of the love era, like and the sexual revolution and all this other shit. Like, I don't know. Did y'all pull anything from that? Was there any thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of think that's the sort of final button on this movie, right? It's sort of a time of like, in a way, like that's where I'm saying that it's kind of more representative of the time and the people and less about specifically Withnail I. That the people in the 60s who thought, hey, we're going to do a bunch of drugs and find ourselves and it's going to be awesome. We're not going to play to society's rules. And then there's a total of the people that through the 70s and definitely by the 80s just became regular ass people, right? They just sort of like, or they died.
Yeah,
I guess drug overdoses or whatnot,
one of
right?
two ways.
Yeah,
Or
there's kind of two ways out of that.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of like the movie is looking at this time of like, yeah, the dream of the 60s, the dream of peace and love kind of didn't really make it.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't really happen. I think that feels even more true now. Like the further you get from it and the further like worse that we get, the more that you can look back and be like, yeah, there were people in that moment. There were people that were like high out of their mind and thought they had found the world, and then it faded away. Like they woke up and it was gone.
Yeah, I just don't know that either the main characters in the film are trying to find any sort of meaning or like nirvana or next plane of existence through drug use. They're just doing it because they're bored and miserable, and maybe that's what the movie is saying. It's like,
the statement,
the 60s
right?
are all over and they've been over, and even though it's 69, like we're already past that, and maybe that's what they're trying to say. But I don't know. It feels like I don't know. Like maybe that's the whole thesis of the film, but it's like, hey, we got to grow up and move on from this like stage in our lives where we're trying to like do art for a living and not making it work. But I don't know, like that's not what the director did with his life. After he made this, and it just it feels like a weird thing to like make a movie about these quirky characters and all these random things that happen in the country and like trying not to get butt fucked, and then like it ends on like, yeah man, the 60s are over, all right, well shit, like it, I don't know, it just doesn't really come together coherently for me. And
feels
I
like
keep saying that,
yeah,
but yeah,
it does feel like when you describe it that way, it feels like it's two movies in one. One is the autobiographical piece where Bruce Robinson wants to tell his story, and he's like, hey, you know, there's some funny things in it, I can make fun of it, whatever. And then the other is, it's like a dirty epilogue, like a dirty and bleak epilogue to what was a fairy tale period where a lot of people had high hopes and beliefs and suddenly thought that they could transcend all of the systems that they inherently are oppressed by. And it's like love and peace don't really work that way. Like, it's seen in every way where and I guess that's why this could be a liberating movie too for people watching, because it's cathartic to see these two like deranged ne'er-do-wells go from place to place that's part of like a structured society and just fuck shit up and yell at people. And like, that's, you know, to some degree mean-spirited, but also results in great scenes, like when they go to the tea house and they're demanding cake and tea and yelling at all the old people. And like, the old people are essentially like the establishment, having that old guy come over and be like, I'm the proprietor of this business. And they're like, well, we're millionaires and blah, blah, blah. And like, that is that, like, feel like for a counterculture, that's probably what it's ripe for, is people being like, yeah, fuck those people. Fuck all of this. It's like Danny at the end lamenting that, you know, the 60s is over and there are going to be a lot of refugees, is just coming back to reality. And you're like done with the dream. Even though what we went on was a nightmare trip, you're done with the fairy tale. Like, time to wake up and go get your hair cut and go get a job. It's
when
like,
he says
so
like
weird
that they have like hippie wigs in the Woolsworth, like,
yeah,
right,
it's over. It's been commercialized.
It's over. It's commercialized. Yeah. And he's like, we didn't, it was like 91 days away from the end of it, and we didn't paint it black or whatever.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
kind of like, we didn't do what we said we were going to do. It's now completely commercialized. Like, get up and move on.
Yeah. So it's that's where I feel like the two movies come in, is like one of them is like a really bleak and depressing thing. It's a reflection, this like almost, it's not even a bittersweet. It's just a bitter reflection on how none of what we tried to say we were going to do is what we did. It just strips it down and shows you what it is. And then the other half is an autobiographical bickering between two people who did exist. And the character of Monty is based on who was it? Did they talk about it in the interviews?
Yes.
It's a friend, or not a French, it's an Italian producer that it was based on. Franco, I can't fucking remember his name at this point. But it was based on an Italian producer that Bruce Robinson had an encounter with, who had made advances on him allegedly. And
apparently some of the dialogue was pulled directly from his experience with him. Like, he was, you know, put in an awkward position in a room alone with this guy who was like an older, large man, and he like got uncomfortably close to him and said, "Are you a sponge or a stone?" Which is just such a fucking weird thing to say.
Yeah, that is
to someone
such a
in real
weird,
life.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so weird. Dixon, you've never seen any of the Harry Potter movies.
I've seen the first one.
Okay, well then you know that
Okay,
that
yeah.
dude is the uncle of Harry Potter. That's the Dursleys. But maybe you don't really remember it.
No, I don't.
But if you
remember
ever
it,
want to
no.
ruin somebody who loves Harry Potter's time, just
Show
show
them
them
this
this movie.
One scene.
And be like, look at that. It's the Dursley. Like, oh, hey, there he is.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Sponge.
Oh my God. Oh God. Jesus. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I think based on what you were saying, Dixon. Like, this is two movies in one that are kind of rolled up, and I feel like it's bold. It's his first film, right? Bruce Robinson's first
I believe
feature?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And with that too, like the first leading role for Richard E. Grant. And Richard E. Grant fucking just nails it.
He's so good.
He talked about how like,
nails it.
yeah, he with nails it. He talked about how leading up to this movie, everybody said that he didn't have a face to be a lead and that he was too creepy and lanky and whatever. He kept saying that he looked at Donald Sutherland and was like, if a dude that looks like that can get roles like Donald Sutherland gets, I have hope. And I was like, that's fucking great. Good for you, Richard E. Grant. That's so good.
Which is kind of funny because Richard E. Grant now is like a very like prim and proper, like well-dressed man, and like, you know, hearing that people viewed him as this like weird bug-eyed freakazoid at the time, and like he plays into that in this role, and you know, they make him look weird, as you know, with the makeup and clothes and everything that they do. But yeah, I mean, he kills it. He's great.
Do you all think that there's an undercurrent of homoeroticism between our main characters, or do you think that they are just really platonic, really good close friends?
I think there's something there. I know you're referencing an interview at Criterion, or not Criterion, but a Q&A that they put on the channel where he was asked if Withnail was gay, and he said no. But I don't know. They're both main characters are rather effeminate, and they spend a lot of time together. And like whether they are like attracted to each other is a different question. But there seems to be. I mean, there's obviously a lot of blatant homosexual things in this movie, but you know, it seems like there's something with these characters that, you know, there's not like a spark between them, but you know, I don't know. There seems to be. They seem to be leaving things open to interpretation, and
there is a certain codependence that they
for sure, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. They have that codependence that it's kind of like, especially to I, obvious that this is something that is a situation he shouldn't be in, but kind of can't pull himself away from, like just kind of like drawn to Withnail, I guess, in a way that he can't get away from it, and then just follows along with everything that Withnail says and does.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that there's a drinking game?
I did it. I did the drinking game.
Oh, and you're dead?
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, I don't remember.
What, do you take a shot every time you hear the word Withnail?
You're supposed to drink whenever Withnail drinks.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Was it like the gin or...
do you have to drink what Withnail drinks?
Yeah,
because he drinks like
lighter
furniture
fluid?
polish at some
fucking
point. Yeah.
lighter fluid and furniture polish and fucking gin and then cider with ice. We didn't even talk up when he's fucking stolen Valor's to get like booze in that bar, which I mean, that's just like a scene moment, but I thought it was really funny that they went out of their way. That's like that was the moment when I realized this is probably like somewhat autobiographical, because they talk about the dude who owns the bar being drunk and like running the bar, and you see him stumbling around trying to get people to pay for things and just drinking more booze anyway. I was like, this guy's fucking real. I know this guy's out there in the countryside somewhere. Those bits. Yeah.
That's fine. I did too. I liked the bit where he was drinking whatever it was, lighter fluid or varnish or whatever it was, and I is like, hey, don't do that. I would not advise that. And Withnail's like, why not? And I says, because you should never mix your liquors. And like, it's like he knows just the right disarming thing to say to get him to stop. You know, if he was like aggressive, like, no, you're gonna kill yourself, you shouldn't drink that, then he probably would have just chugged the whole thing. But because he made a joke, he's like, yeah, you're right, let's go to a bar. Like,
favorite parts, if you had one, what would it be? Right, like that's the next question I could think of. That's like the only kind of closer.
I mean, it was that scene, and then everything with the drug dealer.
Ah, dude, I love that.
Yeah,
guy.
I was gonna
just
say
the way
the
that guy talks in any way is so fucking good.
The massive joint rolling at the end was great.
What did he call it? It's something carrot.
Chamberlain carrot.
The Chamberlain carrot. Yeah.
Carrot.
How do you?
Chamberwell carrot.
Chamberwell carrot. Yeah, he's like, I invented it when I was in Chamberwell, and it looks like a carrot, so that's what I call it.
Can't roll that Chamberwell
carrot.
It
requires 12 pieces of rolling paper.
I love the way that dude talks. He's just so chill the entire time.
Yeah.
Everything that he says is so good.
Yeah. Well, he has that where he's like, does your neighbor have a dog? They're like, yeah. Does that dog come and get in your oven?
Yeah.
No.
Well, and it was a rat.
Like, well, there was something. There was probably a rat in the oven.
So I opened up the oven to put my onions in, and there was a rat in there. I mean, like he poisoned the onions for the fucking rats or whatever. He dosed them. Oh God, just everything about that.
And then he goes
guy.
to feed him. They're like, hey, you want some of these onions?
Yeah. I would note as well, for anybody out there who has seen this movie and also happens to have seen Undercover Brother and Grandma's Boy, Do you think that this movie influenced those movies as well for their gags?
With its massive joint.
Undercover Brother has a massive joint in it that is called the Fatty, which is basically the Chamberwell carrot. There's no doubt about that to me. And then Grandma's Boy has a drug dealer who rolls around talking nonsense, who is accompanied by a black friend who doesn't really talk too much. It's more racist interpretation, but is named Dr. Shakalu. And like, I was like, this is the exact same thing. They just watched this movie, and I was like, I didn't know people at Happy Madison, went through the Criterion Collection for their polls, but there you go. So yeah, if you do think that, get at us on Discord or whatever handles we have available.
It's very possible. One other note for you guys. Did you guys notice that George Harrison and Ringo Starr were producers on this movie?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Credited as Richard Starkey, his Christian name.
Oh.
But I was like, what the hell? Like, I saw those names in the credits. And then the I character, Paul McGann's character, was wearing like John Lennon glasses throughout the whole movie. And I was like, there's like a lot of Beatles, like, stuff going on here. But then the soundtrack was like
Jimi Hendrix.
All Jimi Hendrix. There was one Beatles song that played While My Guitar Gently Weeps toward the end of the film, which is a great fucking song. But yeah, it was like mostly Jimi Hendrix on it, which is very American in a very British film, which I thought was kind of odd. Like fusion. I liked every time they played a Jimi Hendrix song, I was down for it, but it just seems like a weird kind of clash going on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just those are the songs you play to be like, this is the time period. That's
right.
It feels like that. Yeah.
It's the Creedence stand-in,
right.
Like every fucking Vietnam movie has Creedence in it.
God,
right.
Yeah. Oh man. I've listened to so much Creedence in the past few months, and every time that I listen to it,
I love Creedence, but they are over every Vietnam movie. They're like just like Fortunate Son over and over and over.
Every song that I hear, I tie immediately to. I'm like, I know that song from somewhere, and it's just a Vietnam movie or something. Yeah. It's like, damn it, fucking movies ruined all this. Cool. Well, Ryan, you take us home.
Yeah, I guess we can go around and do we recommend this? John, do you recommend this? Where did you land?
Yeah, you set us up at the beginning. You didn't know yet, and now you have to decide.
I land with yes. Surprisingly, I would recommend this movie. It has a texture to it, something that I think makes me want to go watch Stranger Than Paradise again and see if I like it now. Like maybe it changed my brain. I don't know. I am starting to like carve out a niche and try to find more of these like druggy hangout movies, because I'm curious what people do with this kind of genre, what they do with this storytelling, because I feel like it's very human to just tell a story about nothing that has everything to do with all of the substances that can keep you from life. And I'm curious about that, because Stranger Than Paradise is kind of just like hanging out, doing whatever. Scanner Darkly, all the drugs, Train Spotting, and this. I feel like there's more out there. And like I've said, William S. Burroughs and Naked Lunch is something that the jury was still out. I want to watch it again. And Dixon, if you watch it with me, it's going to be surreal, but it has a similar vibe to this. So just to give you just to give you a primer, William S. Burroughs has that same like, this is all about doing drugs and living this part, and the characters don't grow
and eating lunch without any clothes.
That's right. On. Yeah, I can think of about at least 2 things wrong with that title. But I would recommend this movie. I obviously there are qualifiers. It's like if you're coming here in search of story, you're not going to really find it. If you're coming here in search of like some character arc where they all change majorly, it's also not really going to happen. It kind of does, but no. It is more interesting from a cultural perspective and like as a touchstone of cult films. So I'm going to go back and watch it again at some point, but it's not going to be soon. I'm just curious how other movies will change because of it.
Yeah. Dixon, your thoughts?
I would not recommend it. I think it's just, there's some interesting ideas that just don't come to fruition, and the movie feels very flat. And like often when I talk about character development and I have complaints with it, it's not necessarily about the characters changing. It's about like the development of the character, like the depth of the characters and the amount that you can like get to know and understand them in the movie. And I feel like it's just, you are just aggressively like at arm's length from them the whole time, and like it's hard to really get on their wavelength and understand what they're going through. I do have a proposal for a different version of this movie.
Oh.
And that is called Withnail and the Drug Dealer. And there's no I character,
Yeah.
and it's basically just Pineapple Express, but
Right.
it's a British movie set in the 60s, made in the 80s. And it would be like darker than Pineapple Express,
Nice.
but it would be much more fun, I think, than the current version of the
Yeah.
movie. Let's get more scenes with the drug dealer talking about weird shit and just have Withnail doing crazy
Yeah.
things. Let's get Monty out of the movie entirely. I
Yeah,
don't
there we go.
want any more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you ain't got the quid with now, and me and the coal man gonna have to run over here. You come with us. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get in the car and go.
All the horrible
It's called the
like all the
embalmer.
horrible ideas that they have in this movie, and he talks about that doll that like pees itself. And
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like, we're
that
gonna
was
make a
so
doll
good.
that shits itself. And I'm
itself.
like, that would sell. I was like, he's right though.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh my god.
What would come out of the doll's ass? And how many times would it come out before you would have to refill it? Would they sell like refill cartridges
totally
and
have-
shit that
they
you have
have
to like
those,
lodge
yeah.
in the back of the doll? Like, there's so many
No,
questions.
you know what
to
it
how
is?
this would
Is
work.
they give you okay, so it's the late 60s, right? So clearly this doll is gonna have a like packet of cornstarch that's probably mixed with a powdered dye. You just put water in that,
Stir it
and
together.
then stir it together, put it into the baby, and work it through. And it, cleaning the baby's a nightmare, but it's still gonna like shit out something that probably has been.
Then
settled.
they get to sell you like disposable diapers and
Yes.
replaceable
Yep.
shit cartridges.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, they have.
it's the razor blade model where they sell you the razor and you got to keep buying the blades. But in doll form,
That's right. Yeah, the baby changed a lot.
slightly less dangerous.
Baby changed a lot probiotics to clean out the baby.
They have different
At least-
shades
Yeah.
you can buy.
Oh my god! Yeah,
I would say-
then they released the whole other branch that's like the nutritionist doctor that sees the baby and like the stool is green now. Like, what's going on? Should I be concerned with the baby formula I'm giving it?
There's baby green. There's blood red.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
There's
God.
paste.
Black.
There's
Yeah.
paste.
I feel like at least the one in the like late 60s, early 70s wouldn't have like the electronics and sound that like
the
an 80s
nightmare
one
fuel?
would have.
Yeah.
yeah.
It would have the steel eyes though, the cold steel eyes
Oh,
with
yes.
like the eyelids that bat.
It's got black eyes like a doll's eyes.
When you turn its head, the eyes close. Like
Oh,
when
those
only-
are horrifying. Yeah. The blinking dolls? No, I don't
Yes.
want that.
I'll catch your baby and I'll clean him for free. Oh God.
The diapers, that's going to cost you.
I gotta wrap us back around. I gotta
We
rein
can't
this
get us
in.
back on the rails.
I also would not recommend this. I do think I am probably going to watch it again at some point because I'd like to see how it feels as a cult movie, like how I feel coming back to it. But I'm not necessarily in a rush. I don't think that I missed something major in like understanding this. It does feel like somebody in the 80s that had gone through the 60s or 70s probably had a better feel for what this was trying to say. So I do think that we were removed from it. It's tricky though, because I'm like, it's well acted. It is funny and has some funny scenes. It just never like fully comes together for me.
It's really well shot
Yeah.
too. Like, I liked a lot of the shot composition and the tracking shots and the way that they establish sequences and scenes in the countryside. It
Yeah.
brought me with it in the right way. But yeah,
With nail
Yep.
it.
yes, with nailed.
With nailed it.
With nailed it. Yes.
All right. That wraps us up for today. I have been your host, Ryan King. You can get a haircut. You can not get a haircut. That's up to you. I don't think the government's involved at all. Joining
You got to
me
keep your connection to the cosmos, man.
to the cosmos.
It's a begonia connection.
It is a
right
begonia
there.
connect. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Seen this movie the other day, Begonia. Just validated all my points.
Wait,
mate.
Ryan,
I'm
did
like-
you see begonia?
No, I haven't seen Begonia, but I've heard.
Oh man.
Joining me as always,
John Garcia here. What are we going to call the baby that shits itself? What is it, like a boom boom batty boom? Or like, what would it be called?
Sally shits herself.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Cockneys in your mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's you. You fucking proper
Michael Dixon, thanks for putting up with our bullshit.
Hey there, movie buffs, TV toughs, and all listeners in between. John here from the Afterthoughts podcast. I just wanted to drop in at the end of this episode and say thanks for listening. If you've got afterthoughts of your own to share, hit us up. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Afterpod, or jump into a conversation on our Discord server. You can find info for this and more at theafterpod.transistor.fm. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.